All right, and we are live. It's Sam and Pete, and I'm doing the client prep a bit earlier because I've got some conflicts in the schedule later on today. Still be in the client meeting at the usual time. Apologies to Chris, who I said we do this meeting at 11, but we are recording it, so hopefully you will forgive me. You just get set up with the initial setup, which is sort of creating a new agenda for the meeting. So this is 284. And we've got last week's. I put losing Nigel. Maybe I did already mention to the client that
it's definitely mentioned.
Was it?
Yeah,
right.
It was kind of brought up.
Okay. Yeah. So right. So I think that the critical thing that I guess I will. I didn't mention it with enough heartfelt passion that I remember that I said it. So I might mention it again. Indeed, it's got there. I guess the particular thing that I want to is show Jit how to keep a place in scroll bar with Firefox or open in new tab. Look through the outstanding action items. Yeah, I mean, it starts to feel like those ones are. We've got one like that I'm going to move these over to old because I'm not sure that they're relevant to bring up. There. So the funny thing we've got this thing is that was the client asking about these meaningful URLs, which Pete and Anna have been looking at. What I was absolutely kicking myself for yesterday is what we really should have done in the meeting yesterday was do just a vote on that story when we had everyone present. Because if you see here, we haven't estimated this in terms of its difficulty, yeah, so that's something that we should. As soon as we've got, usually you need 2 or 3 people, we should do with you guys today. But that's not something we necessarily have to do in front of the client. But I can just, as is my want, I tend to, I put a link to the meeting notes to any feature that we've created on it. And then, yes, I mean, this issue about charities being listed both under their acronym and their full name, I mean, that's just, there's not really, we can't automatically, I mean, well, any automatic system to kind of detect presence of, oh, this is actually the same charity, but, they happen to have different names. I mean, that seems like that's a human operator thing that, if you find them listed under both their full name and their acronym, then you delete the one with that, you merge the data and.
How would I assume there's someone inputting the data in the first place as well, is that?
Yes, well,
put them into
so the data came in from.
This comes from somewhere else, doesn't it?
There's a government. I'll just take that out of it. Sorry, from the government. Actually, this diagram. Have you seen this diagram? It's really funny. I think we need to get the students to see it here. We originally in like 2013 we grabbed a chunk of data from a government database, which is available freely, but not in a very accessible. I mean, it's all freedom of information available, but it's not a very friendly interface. But since then, this is now set up to allow new people to add new organizations to update their charity information. That in some ways, one of the big motivating forces for this whole system was that voluntary action Harrow, who are trying to track all of them and help and support all of the charities and organizations in this sector, in this area, is that people's address and contact details and so on changes and they don't know about it. And even the Charity Commission register goes out of date because it's like the process of updating your information is kind of, is a bit complex. And so they want they want to, have up-to-date contact details for all of these organizations, and they want to make it kind of like just really smooth that if somebody comes in here and my address is outdated, they can just update it, or even this whole proposed edit thing that we've done. But
The information comes in a CSV file. Is that correct?
There is that was the form of the information that we originally got as a data dump from this from the government thing through a number of hops and jumps. But and when developers get set up, we sort of rerun that import process. But actually, as a matter of course, month to month, that doesn't happen anymore. When we first started this project 2 years ago, I had thought that kind of a syncing operation with the government database was going to be an important feature of it, because there will be people who do update with the government database but don't come and update here. But the client has, was like, well, so the critical thing was to seed it, and then she wasn't too worried about whether we stay updated with the government database. Although I think now, since she's got volunteer JIT, who maybe met last time, and he's going through and he's checking these individually, I think what he's also doing is he's checking them in the government database. The problem is the government database doesn't have, there's an interesting project that would be where we were sort of using RESTful APIs to grab the data and so on. But
would we ever get it the other way around? So this has got more up-to-date information than the government as well?
Well, it does, because the government database updates at the most frequent which it updates is a year. So any updates that we get are potentially displayed immediately, and so often it can be. But so a situation where we might have, it may, so for example, if the organization was stored in the government database in, let's say, just using the acronym, and then it was pulled over, and then somebody came along and they wanted to add themselves, and they didn't search for their acronym, and they thought I'm not in there, and then so they got added, and that wasn't caught, then we can end up with two entries that happen to refer to the same thing. So it's sort of an issue. It's not the end of the world, but it feels like there's not necessarily an immediate technical solution that we can't magically match all of those things, and even if we could, I'm not sure that it would necessarily be worth the engineering effort. I mean, I think what we want to do is to keep looking at the frequency with which that situation occurs and how harmful it is. If, for example, then all of Rachel's volunteers' time are spent, finding those matches and then merging them or whatever, then creating kind of a merge tool or a way of highlighting those things is going to be the way to go.
Just past that, I'm just thinking, it comes in a CSV form, something Excel. Sort of pivot table, duplicate addresses or anything. You could duplicate on name, address, postcode, even geocode and copy them up.
Indeed,
just to clean it up to start.
Absolutely. Although, since the CSV is the wrong thing to focus on, because what we have is our production database has all of that data in a Postgre database. But so one could indeed have a system that we can write a query where on the database that would expose all of those charities that have the same address, for example. Although there are cases where we have multiple charities and they run from the same address, and so they do want to be listed separately. So, but it feels like it's not. We'll check. We'll leave it on there and ask JIT if he's encountered more of those. So we've got these things to do with these icons, and I'm not sure. I mean, the favicon is now up and is in there. What I haven't done is I haven't hooked up the new VHC logo. That's something we could do now. I think we've said we're not going to worry about time bank. I might check in with Rachel to see if Reading has responded. But Reading Voluntary Action have got a very nice of their own kind of map system that one can see. So they have an organizations list. And it's interesting that their default thing is like an alphabetical, and then you can get into sort of a map view. And the interesting thing that they have is that if it loads, I'm just bringing it into the recorded screen so that Chris and others can see it. But so it has, that's Reading, and they've got all the things in their area, and they've got it so that you can search by their categories, and you can see all of the organisations there. So this is it's a nice. I mean, when you initially load the map, it's quite busy. And one might worry about people knowing that they can click on there, and anyway, but still, I think that would So that's them. Just pop a link in there. Reading Voluntary Action, like so. Oh, right, that's not how we do links. Oh, what's this markdown? We've got this WYSIWYG Mercury editor that I have to say I'm not biggest fan of in this system. Okay. The new logo is in place. The Google icons have gone into the repo. They're necessarily being used, but it doesn't look too bad, so I don't worry about that. And so the VAHC logo, so they've got a new logo. Actually, that's something that I could just sort of do. I think that's yeah. So I mean, I guess there is a chore there, which is related to looking for these duplicates and maybe crafting that query that might help us identify duplicates in the database. Yes. Okay, there's two things there. Yeah. So what I should sensibly do is at least just have a look here. So the favicon was sorted. The interesting thing about this code climate integration and pull requests is, I just mentioned this in the local support channel, we seem to be, I just saw we're getting pull review support on our, on the latest pull request that I did. And that would actually kind of be, if that works reliably, that's kind of the solution that we have, because it gives basically code quality on the pull request, which is fantastic. So I think we're gonna. So now this student from New York State has not replied to here. So so going to.
He was definitely right this time.
They've definitely got the name right. Absolutely. Going to set this back to unstarted. Since we didn't hear from you, need to allow others to work on this if necessary, and not, what's the word, block up the current column in the tracker. Okay. So I think what we'll do is we'll go in there and put that into unstarted. There we go. So the SEO optimization, well, despite all my efforts, we're still not getting those things. It's annoying. So this one, actually, I've just, the user who can propose edits to the non-public fields is now, I've just pushed at least the code to the main site. And so that's deliver. Potentially, we will be showing this to the client on the production system. So it would be sensible for me to access the, let's have a look, the production. Hold on, I have to do this. I'll just move this over here so that as you see it, history, if we do grep, should have, yeah, there we go. I want to go into ninefold console here. I'm pleased when we get back to Heroku, to be perfectly honest. Just remembering the slightly different syntax for ninefold, as you know, a lot of time I'll end up just going to Heroku to check what's wrong. I don't find it because we're not on Heroku anymore. But you know, it's just force of habit. But so here, if I do user equals user finds by email. So I'll just grab my info at agilecoaches.org. So this is my organization level administrator, and we should now have. I think we've got a new thing that we can open if I spell it correctly. We should now have a thing about site admin question log. Yeah. We've got to. We've got. No, you know, it's sorry. There's no. So it's site admin. Okay, false. So I should be able to set this now to, well, if I go and I've got another browser over here. Yeah, I'm logged in as the user here. So in print, so in this situation here with the this is proposing an edit to thing. I think I can't see any of the, if we log in here with the got another screen here. We log in with the admin. If we look at the BW Foundation, there we go. In that the admin can see, you know, more details. Now, so if I make this user a site admin and then I save them, then and we reload this page, if we're lucky, we should see, oops, well, let's go again and find BW and propose and edit. We should now see, we now see the phone number. So that's always a good thing to do before one is about to show the client that something's supposedly working. Check that it is working. That saves all sorts of embarrassment in meetings with clients. I think we've still got the issue there that, yeah, I don't have that in as a bug. Yeah, so that's definitely ready for the client to potentially accept. I don't know if this one is, I'm going to move it. I'm actually in the middle of one, but thanks for asking. Cheers. I'm going to pop, I don't know that that is any kind of borrowed. I'm going to pop that over there for the moment. Do we have some testifying in position? Yeah, I feel like I may have been bad and not reported the bug, which is that in propose edit for site admin, private fields are still shown with a public toggle. And DC, go back and over here, control 4, that's this one. So what I'm just doing here is I'm adding in a screenshot of the issue and the bug there, and I've kind of, well, maybe I shouldn't assign Michael to that. I mean, he's the one who worked on it. I should probably talk to him before doing that. Let's just make sure that the bug is in there. And then that's always the danger, is that you can see things that are wrong and you talk about it and mention it, but just sort of gets forgotten in the flow. So it's really important to just try and get everything into the system so that you're sort of aware of it. So we've done that. That's reviewed, I think, the critical things, which in the pipeline. We've got one feature to show the client. I've also, I think I've now successfully deployed Google Analytics onto the developed server. At least I've managed to get them in there without, or do something that hasn't broken the development server, which is nice. And I'm just going to have a little look in here. Oh yes. So we've got, actually we can see there. This is now, we've got the Google Analytics JS is being loaded in to the page there. See that on there? So this is not going to work on Ninefall, but at least it's on the developed server. I mean, there's a more sophisticated feature that we could do here, where we would have different, we'd have tracking set up separately for the development server and the production server. But I think what I'm going to do in the first instance, right, we've got that on to develop. That's fine. We'll leave that there. We'll push that out for next week, and then maybe before next week we can, I could be like, oh yes, I must try and show the client more of the, our search. We're moving slowly up the list in terms of our community network things, but it still hasn't got the sub pages, which the website one people are indicating to me that maybe they think they got that as a result of doing Google Analytics. So the client wants Google Analytics anyway. So that's on there. I'm just thinking, in order to get out on our list of things to do, is that what's gone down here, we should have a new logo. So the kind of thing is, if we've got, that's website 1, this is the system here. So I believe we've got, okay, yeah, so this here should be the new logo. Can I just reveal that in the Finder? What have they got? Yeah, okay, so they've got a slightly different logo now. So if I can get a copy of the name. So now, if I want to update the logo, I need to go into the views. We've got the layout. It's going to be in the first part of the footer. And I think it's, yes. So it's VH logo PNG there. We've now got the new one, it's VHC small logo. And I'll just nip in and let's see if I do bundle bundle exec break spec. Oh no, I've done that accidentally on the master. I shouldn't have done that. Let's just drop here and do so git. So I was on the master there, having and I want to go on develop, but because I haven't committed the change, I can just do git checkout develop here, and that puts me straight on there, and I've still got that change there, so I haven't affected the master. And
stash that.
Well, in fact, before committing it, I don't even need to stash it.
Oh yeah.
It just comes along. So bundle undo exec rate spec. And I'm just doing that because I have a vague memory of writing tests. I don't think that they were
specific name in the text.
I think we checked that it's kind of like as a thing for the user that that the image appears. Whereas we've got maybe at the cucumber level, we've got display product contributors, static pages, disclaimer, custom error pages, admin
homepage.
Might be homepage, yes, homepage feature. Yeah, I mean that was for the homepage banner. I just have and it'd probably be bad if I linked it directly to the actual name of the file. I think we've got it checking. I think one of the things it sort of checks that but anyway, what I'm just doing before pushing that on to develop is just checking that the test pass having updated, it's going to be their new logo there. I haven't broken anything else. But if that works now, I mean, what I should sensibly do is just run this will be developed now. If I just run Rails S locally, I think it's broken it.
You're getting 14 failed.
But no, so this was previously, that was on a Google Analytics branch.
Oh, okay.
That was, I was reading this thing that it seemed to indicate that the Google Analytics wouldn't work with Rails 4 without some special, more complicated approach.
Yeah.
And so I was trying that approach, and that was creating all sorts of other problems. And I was looking at Website One, who's done it as well, and they just have normal Google Analytics in there without this fancy what have you, and that seems to work. So I'm kind of, I've switched back to just using similar. So yeah, this is their new logo. So that, I mean, what we think aesthetically of their new logo is is
that kind of written in tiny writing?
They have. I mean, this is, if we click through on here, we should go to their, I mean, this is their new logo.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I have to say that the previous one, that's
the previous one.
Yeah.
It'd be better to just change that to thinner writing and white.
Well, that's something maybe we can talk about later. Anyway, since the client has requested it, what I'm going to do here, this is new VOC logo, is I'm just going to push that onto develop, and so they can look at it on the develop server and
show them it, and if they
exactly, and then if they love it and they're really excited about it, well, far be it from us to argue with the way that we want to do it. Okay, and so that at least I think that brings us full circle back to our meeting plan here. So we can pop in there a kind of a done element there, and I think that gives that puts us pretty much ready to talk to the client today. Yeah, one thing I was going to say to you that I probably should have mentioned yesterday is one thing we should talk about in terms of like getting started on that feature for whatever is there's this sort of acceptance test, unit test cycle of sort of, obviously you can play around with the gem and get things done, but kind of ultimately going into it, I think what is going to be important is to be starting off with a cucumber test.
Yeah, Anna and I discussed this yesterday.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously the first thing we need to do here is write a test.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know the maker's way. You know the maker's way.
We did kind of think, is this RSpec or cucumber? That was kind of...
Yes, no, and as it happens in this project, all of the features are in cucumber, and then there's unit tests are in RSpec. But
yes. We figured kind of
for sure.
we needed a cucumber. Well, no, we know the first thing to is right.
Fantastic, good stuff. Amen, brother.